In 2016, Anuel was arrested with 3 pistols and 152 bullets, sentenced to 30 months in federal prison. Most careers don't survive that. His didn't just survive, his career skyrocketed. This is the rise and fall of the god of trap. Let's get into it. Before the trap beats and the diamonds, there was a kid in Carolina, Puerto Rico, who grew up in the most unusual classroom in the music business, his father's office. Emmanuel Gasme Santiago's father, Jose Gasme, was the vice president of A&R at Sony Music Puerto Rico. While most kids are watching Saturday morning cartoons, Anuel was in the studio watching Tego Calderon recording sessions. He didn't just grow up around music, he grew up inside the machine. But he didn't want to be an executive. He wanted to be the artist. He signed to Rick Ross's Maybach Music Group Latin division and began crafting something the industry didn't have a name for yet: Latin trap. Raw, street heavy, a sound that radio stations didn't know what to do with. He wasn't polishing himself for the mainstream. He was building something from the ground up. By 2015, he was one of the most talked about voices in Latin underground music. The buzz was real. The momentum was building. And then, April 2016. In April 2016, Anuel AA was arrested. 3 pistols, 152 bullets. The federal prosecutors weren't interested in his music career. He was sentenced to 30 months. And for 90 of those days, he was in solitary confinement. Think about that. The man who would become the king of Latin trap spent 3 months alone in a cell. No studio, no collaborators, no platform. And the music industry, the one his father helped build, moved on without him. Or so they thought. Because here's where the story takes a turn that no label executive could have scripted. While Anuel was inside, the streets didn't forget him. The hashtag #FreeAnuel movement exploded across social media. His fan base didn't shrink, it grew. And he used the only tool he had left: over-recorded phone calls, the ones you get for 15 minutes at a time. Anuel, piece by piece, built his entire debut album, Real Hasta La Muerte, Real Until Death. Every bar written behind bars. He turned 30 months in federal custody into the most authentic origin story in Latin music history. Prison wasn't the end of the campaign. It was the campaign. He wrote his entire debut album in prison and dropped it the literal day he walked out the door. If you think that's impressive, wait until you see what happened to the numbers. July 17th, 2018, he dropped Real Hasta La Muerte. It debuted at #1 on the Billboard Top Latin Albums chart and went on to be certified platinum by the RIAA. The hashtag #FreeAnuel fans became paying customers overnight. But Anuel wasn't done thinking, because he didn't just release an album, he released a slogan: Real Hasta La Muerte, RHLM. And he turned that slogan into something much bigger than a record. He launched RHLM as a full record label and merchandise empire, signed a global distribution deal with The Orchard, a Sony subsidiary, while keeping his independence. He wasn't just an artist anymore. He was a CEO. With a built-in fan base who wore his slogan like a badge of loyalty. He gave them an identity, and they gave him a business. If prison was the origin story, Karol G was the amplifier. The Colombian reggaeton superstar and Anuel went public with their relationship in 2018, and what followed wasn't just a romance, it was a content machine. Joint appearances, collaborations, social media moments built for virality. Their audiences merged. His fan base met hers met his. Both grew. Their collaboration, Secreto, became one of the most streamed Latin songs of 2019. Anuel was crossing into mainstream reggaeton territory, reaching audiences that wouldn't have found him through trap alone. The relationship put him on international platforms, international stages, and international playlists he hadn't touched before. They announced their engagement. The internet celebrated. And then, in 2021, they quietly ended things. In a Raw interview, Karol G confessed that the immediate aftermath left her completely shattered, crying constantly and feeling like she wanted to die. She later described the final stretch of the relationship as an absolute nightmare, a toxic dynamic that completely destroyed her self-esteem and made her feel like she had zero value. Anuel's initial response was calm, respectful. But everything changed when Karol G teamed up with Shakira for the global hit TQG, a track about two women bravely moving on after high-profile breakups. She never called his name, but the whole world knew who she was talking about. Feeling disrespected, Anuel's diplomatic tone completely vanished. He fired back online, bragging that he was the most unforgettable man on earth. Then he dropped his own response track, Más Rica que Ayer, directly mocking her new relationship with Fade. He even started wearing custom shirts on stage, explicitly trolling Fade during his live concerts, before finally dropping a list of all the tracks he had dedicated to her and vowing to never speak her name again. Anuel moved on. He dated Venezuelan model Lori Saavedra, and in early 2025, the two welcomed their first child together, a baby girl named Emma Luna. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, or rather, the rabbit. Anuel and Bad Bunny started as collaborators, close ones. Esta cabrón serio, joint freestyles, public mutual respect. Two street kids who built Latin trap from the underground up. But as the years went on, the paths diverged. Bad Bunny moved towards something bigger, more experimental, more global. The pop crossover, the Super Bowl halftime slot, the Met Gala. He became the most streamed artist on Spotify on the planet. He wasn't just expanding Latin music, he was redefining it. Anuel stayed in the lane. Street energy, trap credentials, Real Hasta La Muerte. And when Bad Bunny dropped the Yo Perreo Sola video, Anuel was accused of throwing shade on Instagram. Their fan bases turned it into a war. Fast forward to 2023. Bad Bunny said on the track Pa Siempre that he was bigger than trap, which fans immediately read as a direct shot at the god of trap himself. But Anuel didn't let it fester. He went straight to the source. He messaged Bad Bunny on IG. Bad Bunny clarified. The bar wasn't for Anuel, it was for the podcasters, the noise, the politics. Anuel posted the messages publicly. No beef, no war. Just two men who built something, talking it out. Here's the business lesson buried in the tension. Two men who built the same genre, took it in completely different directions, and ended up with wildly different levels of mainstream recognition. One went global, one stayed street. And the music industry rewarded them very differently for those choices. Anuel is proof that the fall is not the end of the story. It is the beginning of the chapter nobody saw coming. He didn't wait for the industry to give him a second chance. He built one, from a prison phone, 15 minutes at a time. Real until death. Anuel proved that the right origin story, even a federal one, can be the foundation of an empire. But to see the other side of this story, the man who went in a different direction and became the most streamed artist on the planet, my full breakdown of the Bad Bunny business blueprint is linked right here. Same genre, completely different game plan. Hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.
It's faded, baby.
Perfect.